So we Quality Violence Cinema. I'm Christian. We got Ossuary Angel here. We're doing a little promotion for a special thing that we got going on for Valentine's. I'll let them kind of go into more of the detail of what to expect and what it is, but it's very exciting. But yeah, welcome, by the way.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to just kind of go into what exactly this zine is and what it entails.
The last 5 years, I've curated a romantic horror movie list, and last year was the first year I did a small zine to go with it, and so I thought this year I'd do something larger and take submissions from other people, and the movie list theme this year is romantic, less violent necrophile films, or as minimally violent as I could get them. Still gross, still squishy. It's a little violence, salt shakered in there, but the main goal was to find things that were still stuck on romance and, something cute for Valentine's.
Mm-hmm.
So the zine is going to be talking about the 14 films that were chosen with a little bit of the plot and also a review from Bones. And we're going to have different artwork submissions from myself, from Christian, from Bones, and some other people who are interested. Yeah, I'm excited. I love Valentine's Day, and it was kind of fun to have other people submit things for this theme because it's definitely the weirdest theme to have asked for the first time for other people to submit. But yeah, that's going to be the zine.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I think it's kind of cool to kind of do something a little different than the normal Valentine tradition and just kind of like, you know, maxing out and just showing your love by, spending way too much money on somebody. It's more of just the whole theory and the thing. I did art shows. I did like art from the heart, and I started it during Valentine's, and that's kind of what I did. So I feel you, and it was kind of more as like more as like, hey, why don't you buy art for somebody or support the community and show love towards the community than just love towards one person. So
Yeah, that's like, see, that's kind of what I wish the holiday could embody to some degree. I mean, I just like Valentine's Day because of the fact that just growing up, like we were, I guess, forced. I didn't feel forced, but forced to bring in Valentines for like classmates.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I really liked giving people like cards that would kind of make them smile or feel good. And then throughout like my time in school, I would still make cards and still bring them in, or I'd decorate like the radio station that I worked at one point. Every job I've had, I've decorated for Valentine's Day and brought in cards for people. And I just like that it's like, it's hard to sometimes express how much you care about people that you're around all the time. And I think some people also feel pretty uncomfortable with a certain level of care
Mm-hmm.
and like showing it or like saying I love you to friends. And I think if you have this holiday that's labeled as a big I love you, cute, soft, squishy heart holiday, then you can give people things without them overthinking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of just like the fact that I can throw pink stuff at my friends on Valentine's Day and nobody thinks it's too weird.
Right.
And I love romance. I love romance films so much. So.
No, I just remember being a kid and nerve wracked to give out like Valentine's to the girls that I had a crush on. I'm like,
Oh
I
my
definitely
god.
remember that.
I used to literally make a larger one. So I would bring in like all the standard ones for people and then I'd make a really big like cutout heart for the person that I wanted to be my Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, I did not have any game in any of my schooling until college. So everybody always turned me down, but I don't think I ever felt nervous because I think at the end of the day, I was just like, oh, like I put all this work into this. And like, if it doesn't amount to anything, I guess I just have to make a new one for somebody else next
Mm-hmm.
year. Um,
Yeah, I would
yes.
definitely kind of go all out. I remember one of the ones I did was, oh, this is a little later in life, but I did like an entire cigar box, like collaged the whole thing, and then inside of it was like a box of chocolates that I took from something else and kind of just had it in there, so it's like a whole customized little thing. I thought it was kind of cool, but
That's cute.
yeah, I like stuff like that.
Yeah. I love frilly stuff. I'm excited because my partner and I are going to the Philadelphia Mutter Museum, and we're gonna look at their Dracula exhibit,
Oh,
and
cool.
then later there's this is so crazy. There's like a random haunted house one night only Valentine's Day thing happening
Hmm.
in Philadelphia. So we're going to that. So I'm excited to kind of be able to finally have like a horror romantic Valentine's Day. Like,
That is pretty cool.
yeah,
Valentine's, eat your
rare.
heart out.
Yes.
Hmm.
And speaking of that, yeah, we're gonna do that marathon. It's gonna be the 18th February, a Saturday, and it's starting for 7 a.m. for you guys and 10 a.m. for me. Um, so I'm excited. We're gonna be showing 5 of the films out of the 14 that are in the zine.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to do a whole 14 marathon thing.
I also think like, as much as I really enjoyed curating like all these movies together over the last year, I don't think I could get anybody to sit and watch 14 Necrophile films in a row. That's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah, because you take quite a few months just preparing to get through these yourself. So
Right.
yeah,
But I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good time. And, I think we're going to talk in between some of the films and just kind of, talk about, I don't know, I guess, what are we going to talk about? The different aspects of necrophilia that's happening? Or maybe even like the romance and the care that we find in the characters who are going to
yeah,
be doing
more a little bit of a deep dive because I like learning more the psychology of the people and kind of like why they might get into a point of necrophilia.
I think it's going to be a good time. I think it's a good way to celebrate the holiday, um, especially too, just because I feel like a lot of the regular films people watch are for Valentine's Day anyway, are a little bit like
Cheesy,
cheesy, like
yeah.
overly cheesy. So it's kind of fun to add other elements into them.
Hmm. So, what are your other things that you've kind of done in the past with this scene?
So last year I did Cybersexual, which was robot on robot or robot on flesh, and it was all cyberpunk films, or just, I mean, some of them weren't that theme, but still involved androids, cyborgs, or robots in some way. Um, and I really loved that. That was super fun last year. Incredible visuals and a lot of films encapsulate that kind of theme. And then years prior, I did a Lupercalia one, which is all about werewolves. And then I did a horror rom com one, which was kind of a cop out year because I was stressed out and I was like, I need to throw something together. But there's not a lot of horror rom coms out there that hit all three genres and actually are scary and funny and romantic at the same time. So I was able to kind of put a couple together. And the year before that was a sadomasochistic, like extreme lust, love leading to death list. That was the first one I did years ago.
Mm.
So this is, I guess, almost a rehash in a way. Similar, not exactly the same, but
Yeah, because you started doing this in like 2018 or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm already thinking about next year.
Have you ever thought about doing it more often, like kind of doing like twice a year if it starts getting momentum, or I know popping on
I
once a month might be a little much.
I think I could see myself doing maybe like a half thing, maybe like halfway through the year picking 7 or 8 films and doing a much smaller thing, maybe just films that I really enjoyed or a concept that doesn't hit romance.
Hmm.
Because I never want to like let go of this because Valentine's Day is my favorite holiday. Um, but it would be too much to like do something around Halloween time and then do this because by Halloween I'm already prepping for
Yeah,
this. I think if people really start to dig both the zines and the marathons with it, I mean, this is the first year I'm doing a marathon of these specific films for Valentine's Day, then I could see doing it more often.
hmm especially once you kind of get the flow of it, and it becomes a little easier to pop them out. You know, kind of know what to
Yeah.
expect. But I know we were talking about before, but getting possible people to sign into is like kind of doing like ad space, or there's ways of helping like funding it to make it something you can do more readily. So
Right. It would be cool to actually be able to do some type of even local ad space for the area I'm in, but just in general, online shops, people, different things, distributors for videos, other podcasts, stuff like that would be cool in the eventual future. I feel like I didn't plan that far ahead, so for this year's zine, I do have to do pre-orders. So if people want them, they can contact me either through like my Instagram or my Twitter, and I'll get your information, and I'll be able to mail you one once it's printed out. So.
so out of these necrophilia films, which one is your favorite, or that really speaks to you?
I feel like my long-term favorite is Kissed, just because it is so beautifully shot and it's got such a hot girl in the main role. But I think this year, after watching all of the films, I really loved Matador. I watched it and immediately was like, this is like a 5-star film for me. I thought it not only kind of hits the mark explaining that what's happening is definitely taboo. It's definitely not received well by the people around it, but for the people that are actually caught up in the entire thing, in their romantic lust for it, it's incredibly intense and feels super real, like the way the actors feel. And just, I don't want to spoil it. It's a really good film. It's beautifully shot, and it's got Antonio Banderas in it. Uh, so that was a bit of a shock, but not really a shock considering most of his beginning filmography is strange,
Yeah,
psychosexual.
yeah. No, that I haven't seen that one in a while, but I know what you're talking about. Is that in the same world as the when he carries around the guitar case with a gun in it, or is that just like? Cause there's one that's like Once Upon a Time in Mexico type thing. No, it's not the. But I think it was. I'm trying to remember.
I don't think it's in it. I mean, if it is in the same world, I don't know. But he doesn't carry around a guitar case in this. He's trying to be a matador and um, tries to do something to someone he's envious of, and in apologizing, takes the blame for a lot of stuff while hoping that things go well for the person that is his teacher. So
Yeah, I'll have to rewatch that one. It's been forever.
yeah, it's really good. Uh, and just the ending too is fantastic. But I would say those are probably my favorites. I really liked a lot of the short films that I found this year because I really like to try and make it short films, long form films, different narratives, different countries, different languages,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different options, older films, newer stuff, because I want to find a film for everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out or stick like stick to a specific genre um, or time frame, or even not do a foreign film and like make people feel left out from this thing that Valentine's Day is all about caring and sharing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I was very excited to see when you had Seeing the Ghost on there. I was like very happy about that one. Right.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't. I feel like it's gonna go over very well.
Yeah. No, that was just great, especially for being the Shaw Brothers, and I liked their adaptation into horror and the stuff that they've done. There hasn't been like too many. They're mostly just like kind of your standard over the top kung fu, but that was great.
Yeah.
So, is there any new projects outside of the zine that you're working on recently?
I will say that I am going to be on another podcast talking about our marathon, the zine, and also just the amount of research I've done on necrophilia films and also on necrophilia in general over the last year to kind of understand the concepts that were being depicted in fiction. And it's Twitch of the Death Nerve. It's Twitch of the Death Nerve with Sam and Charles, and we just kind of talked about different films that are on the list, and also the themes of necrophilia in general and what they kind of mean for film. Other than that, I was just shooting a movie this past winter that hopefully will be out this summer. It's a feature length film, and it's being brought out by the director Bruce Longo, who just did Bloodsick Psychosis last year.
Heard that.
So
Check out.
it's all shot on video, like actual videotape. Um, and it's definitely, I think, along the lines of what people would enjoy from this group. And, you know, just people want to laugh, but also see a lot of gore and just also have this kind of nostalgic feeling for film SOV in general, but with kind of today's pacing and not a lot of the dialogue lag that happens in a lot of SOV. So I'm excited. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's things that are detached in the movie.
Yeah, I'd love to get SOV under me to kind of do some stuff. But definitely, once you start making things, you definitely are just like, I want to do this. I want to do this.
Oh, I know.
You get the bug for sure.
I'm literally already like asking the director when he's gonna start another one. I mean, they're still editing because we just finished it up in December, but I'm like, okay, when's the next one? Yeah, that's kind of it for right now.
Is there any more talk of Vania 2?
I think for right now, it's just kind of dependent on a lot of it's dependent on my ability to get to the West Coast, but also Sam's ability to get to the East Coast. And also just a lot is kind of going on, I think, maybe in the underground horror community, and that I know for right now, I think Sam wants to focus on a bunch of different things, not just horror. So
yeah,
I
you can
think
see that
that
with
is,
pink material and stuff like that.
yeah. So it's not like it's not going to happen, but I think it is tabled for the meantime.
Yeah, and I know there was talk about taking it to Paris too and getting Nico involved and stuff. So it seems like a big project. So.
Yeah, especially because of that aspect, it takes a lot more planning and actual writing than just doing it. I know that, you know, Sam and I have talked about potentially like working on the script and stuff together. So it's not just him, it's me. I gotta get the fire under my ass too.
Yeah, no, big projects like that they're nerve wracking. You get overwhelming really quick. So.
Yeah, it's also trying to figure out in this time frame. Like, I know that we're out of the heavier, thicker woods of COVID, but it's still a thing, and I haven't been on a plane in like almost 2 years. So
Right.
there's a lot of things and moving parts in with this, which is why I'm trying to do some more stuff here with people around me in Philadelphia. So hopefully I'll have more of an update of other things coming the next time we talk.
I know. I just went to Ohio not too long ago. Like it was like a few months in October. But yeah, it was kind of nerve wracking because I had to do like 3 layovers and just like I'm just surrounded by so many people, so many things.
It's just also too like flying's really uncomfortable for me. Just in terms of like, I don't know. I have like very tight Eustachian tubes, apparently, is what the ENTs have told me. So it's not super fun to be on a plane. So I'm also trying to figure out like what's the best route and method of travel, or potentially getting that fixed so that flying is easier to do.
Yeah, I can see that being uncomfortable. Has there been any film projects outside of Sam Hell and the shorts that you did for Vania?
Other than the one that just got filmed, there's someone that I'm planning on working with this year. It's just a matter of clearing our schedules to be able to shoot some things. But I am trying to tackle the I've had these ideas and concepts for a while, but I every time I watch a movie and there's a scene that's erotic or sensual, sexual, or even murderous, like I feel like it's just not enough and it's not tickling my fancy. So I have a pretty big list of things that I want to work on in making not a parody, but basically an homage to certain films in a more sexual matter.
Hmm.
One of them is going to be the possession scene in the subway,
Oh wow,
and
love that
yeah,
scene.
and also so do I.
I love that movie
And
in general.
also,
Like everything he does is amazing.
it's such a good film, but on top of it, like I feel like that scene should be a porn scene. So it's basically taking scenes from films and trying to not take away from them. Like it's not going to be a joke. I'm definitely trying to spend as much time figuring out the exact camera angles and
Hmm.
every dialogue that's said, as close as I can get to costuming and also location. It's been a little hard. We were going to shoot the possession one this past fall, but it's kind of difficult to find a place to shoot a masturbatory, like sexual
In a subway.
vomiting scene in a subway and not get arrested for it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I'm looking at some of the other films. We're gonna do Miss 45 and also La Bête, and those are a little more
What about
easier.
abandoned trail for trains, like a train station, so you can kind of just do so because there's a lot of like abandoned areas of just tunnels that aren't used anymore. You can almost get away. I'd just be kind of not very sterile, but
Well, it's like I know I would go and clean up everything and
Mhm.
kind of make it as safe as I can for myself. But I think more of the issue is that a lot of the places near me, even if they're abandoned, they are watched.
Mm.
So it's not as easy as just finding somewhere to go. Also, a lot of the abandoned train stations, especially in Philadelphia, are still active. Like they still have active track lines.
Mhm.
So if you want to get there, I know people do. I know there's a whole graffiti collective that goes to the one.
Mhm.
You have to walk on active tracks, and I'm just not willing to do
Yeah,
that.
I get that.
I don't want to die for this.
Yeah, we have one. We have one that's right by me, but it's I feel it's more just where a lot of the homeless just kind of like hang out and live and get left alone essentially. So it'd be more of like yeah, you might be able to not be seen in the public eye, but you definitely get some people that be coming
Plus,
through.
like, I don't know. I mean, for me, like, I don't want to really disrupt people who like live in a space like that with
Hmm.
something like this. I think that's also been part of the problem is trying to find some place where it's kind of a lot to walk into someone's home or where they have to live for the time being and
Hmm.
basically scream and throw up and masturbate in front of them. Like that's not what I'm trying to do to people. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
if I were to find a space, I don't know. We've talked about potentially just trying to find something that really is unoccupied by people.
Hmm.
Um, but that's kind of the goal for the next year is to finish up because it's not really like I'm re-scripting the scenes, but I'm also making the storyboards so we can get as close to the actual filming as possible and then shooting them. And I'd like to once we have like a collection of them, they'll probably come out individually on like either if I can finish a website in time or my many vids just so I can start making some amount of money on them so that way I'd love to get a bunch put onto a disc and made into like a physical copy to sell once I have a couple. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm shooting for like 10.
There you go.
That's my goal this year.
Have you ever seen Good Morning Carlos?
No,
He
I haven't.
it's a short that he does tribute to the possession scene, but he more just it's more of a guy doing it. And he plays with his own feces instead, and just that kind of
Oh,
thing. Not real, but it's just kind of like it's kind of like his own little tribute to it. It's pretty funny.
no, I didn't realize that. I mean, I didn't even know about it either cuz like it's something where I felt like these films that I've definitely felt were really hot or a scene that's really hot just didn't take it far enough. Didn't take
Yeah,
it far.
well, yeah, and then there's a lot of like this, censorship and keeping
I
track of
know.
ratings and stuff, and like trying to keep under. But with him,
I totally get it. I just hate it.
yeah. With a director like that, though, for the director position, you imagine that he actually had a lot more like explicit sex scenes and sorts. Like, there's definitely like a lot of passion and different things in a lot of the scenes. But yeah, he seems like he would be someone that could potentially go there. Did you have any control in the style of filming for Vania, by the way? Because it seems like there's some similarities to Incantation of Matter, and I was curious if you had a lot of hands on the editing style.
So it's funny. Oh my god. I didn't realize up until maybe last year, 2 years ago, when Sam and I were in an interview together as well, where we talked about Incantation of Matter and Vania. And the thing is those scenes in that style were actually specifically when I had gone out there, we had shot scenes for Vania, and then we had shot some extra stuff on the side for me. And that entire scene was using the shower curtain and basically laying it on top of me and then allowing water to create the kind of concave like elements that you see in it. Um, I originally was editing it in kind of this like really soft, dreamy way and was feeling like it wasn't really working. And I had like done the threshold thing. Uh, gosh, I don't really edit film clearly because I don't know what that filter is called, but I think it's called threshold. And I had done it to see what it would look like and realized that it looked exactly like Begotten and was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, fuck, I love Begotten. I'd love to just do it this way. Sam also wanted to put an homage to Begotten in Vania and had ended up, it's not exactly the same, but
No,
ended
you
up
can see the tribute.
also, yeah, like, and even I think mine's just black and white, but Sam tried to keep some of the color in the actual footage and also edited that footage because of the way it looks in black and white. Because Vania is pretty high contrast, like
Mm-hmm.
already. And I didn't even realize until like 2 years ago. When I got Vania back and I saw that it was like that, I was like, oh, that's so cool that those scenes also made it into the film. And were also, I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is for Begotten. I just thought it was like a stylistic choice, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until like 2 years ago that Sam and I were talking about it and was like, wait, you did that as an homage to Begotten too? Because Incantation of Matter is definitely an homage to
Mm-hmm.
Begotten. But yeah, no, that was just like a weird coincidence of how it ended up shaping up. Uh, yeah, if you want to see all the footage from that shoot, I think Incantation of Matter has pretty much every shot, whereas like there's not all of it in Vania, but that's because Vania is like literally its own narrative plot line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've actually thought about going back and looking at that footage and re-editing it into something more that you can actually see my face and body and it's not all black and white at some point and just kind of putting it out there. Um, just because it is really cool. I love plastic. I'd love to do some more work with that and also different editing styles too.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely think the black and white and over saturation definitely kind of helps, especially like you're saying with the whole plastic wrap, because it kind of almost is like what, you kind of make out what it is. It kind of gives it kind of like a feel. But yeah, it's interesting how Begotten, because Begotten they took the film and they scratched the hell out of like every shot by shot and kind of gave it that look at what it is. But when you go into the digital world, you obviously can't do that, so you kind of have to rely on filters and things. But it's cool too because I feel like you can do a lot more with it than you can with just like with film. I mean, there's certain chemicals that cause certain effects, like purposely burning it and doing certain things that kind of create some interesting feels. But yeah, the gun's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, self worship. Your short is one of my personal favorites. But there is one thing I have to say I thought was kind of funny. Is like the wings getting so close to the cameras got me a little bit of anxiety. I was like,
Oh, yeah,
they're
with
not
the
gonna.
flames.
Is there any
So,
concern?
that shoot, I did that shoot in the middle of the summertime and obviously didn't have a fan or an AC unit or anything in the room that I was staying at the time.
Mhm.
And I had lit all those candles. It was so fucking hot. It was like 80 degrees out. So it was disgusting, like shooting this thing. And I think I shot for, it had to be like well over 3 hours. Like it was a
Mhm.
long time, especially because it was just me. So I was setting up the different camera angles. And I don't think I used the shot, but the wings did catch at some point
Mhm.
very quickly. And I was able to like immediately get it out. But yeah, no, that was literally a concern. I was trying to look sexy and hot while also like
But not that
not, yeah, not that
hot.
hot. Yeah, I love self worship. I really, growing up and things, growing up, I feel like because I looked a little bit different, I had a hard time being associated with not only being like attractive, but also being like cute and sweet and nice.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people who cared about me would always say, well, you're like dark and different and blah, which was great, but I know in their own way they were trying to like make me feel better.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I felt like couldn't be I couldn't be an angel, or I
Mhm.
couldn't like in have interests in things that weren't more macabre.
Mhm.
And once I had kind of like graduated college, I realized I was like, I should just like put on a pair of angel wings sometime. And yo, my name was born out of that not a few months later. Like it literally, because I had been going by other stage names for a while, but I hadn't really done any film work yet. It was mostly all static images.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I'd like to have like a better stage name that kind of fits me. And I put on those angel wings, and they were the first pair I'd ever made and put together. And those are the wings in the film. And so I was like, I really got to do like this kind of like angel esque, crucifix fucking film, especially because I love sacrilege. So
Mhm.
it only makes sense.
Well, I feel like it says a lot without really saying too much, even just in the title. It's just because it kind of is your own more personal battle, and like what you're saying, just kind of accepting the difference from coming from one to the other, and kind of accepting that self. Yeah, I think it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of, especially with friends and people that have grown up with you for like a long time.
Hmm.
I definitely don't. Actually, that's a lie. Everybody in my life respects what I do, who I'm friends with, and I've definitely cut out a lot of people that have didn't walk with me through
Hmm.
respecting me for my choices. But even then, like I don't send all my stuff to all my friends, and even when one of my friends want to buy something I've done or something specific with me, sometimes I'm shocked. I'm like, "Oh, is that okay? Like, you might see my nipple. Is that okay?" They're like, "Duh." And it's
Yeah.
always kind of awkward now that we're kind of walking out through, you know, the worst parts of the pandemic. Hopefully, the worst parts are over.
Right.
Um, but I definitely, I guess Vania was shot in 2019, and then the pandemic happened, and I don't know, it was pretty hard to do a lot of things
Mhm.
for like that first year and a half. So now it feels good to kind of get back into the swing of things.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and helping with promoting this. I'm very excited about doing the marathon. Discord, we've been kind of slacking, to be honest, on the screenings and stuff, so it'd be a good excuse to kind of get that back going. So,
Yeah, thanks so much for being down to do this. I know when I was kind of thinking about the fact that I wanted to do just more than the list and also the zine to go with it, it's like, it'd be cool to like show some of the movies. And, you and Bones were the first people I thought about that I would be like, wow, I'd really love to do like a marathon with them. Like, both of y'all have been some of like the chillest and coolest interviews, but also have consistently been respectful and nice to me, which is big because not everybody is like that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it, and I want to keep doing stuff with you guys.
No, for sure. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, it kind of surprises me to hear, people like that. It's like I feel like as an interviewer, you're supposed to be respectful and non-biased, and I don't know. It just kind of blows my mind to hear that people are just not respectful to the people that they're interviewing.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it's just like a weird media learning lesson
Mm.
for everybody involved.
Yeah, people trying to be edgy and cool, and thinking that being rude is edgy and cool. I don't know.
Yeah. But thank you so much again, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the marathon and also Valentine's Day. I hope this kind of also just kind of pumps people up and gets them a little bit excited too. I know Valentine's Day can be kind of a sad and upsetting holiday for a lot of people, but I would like to change that. I would like to change that for the masses and make it something where it's like celebratory and fun. And even if you can't like really share it with a lot of people, it's important to share it with yourself.
Yeah, and I
just
think by
for the
changing it to your meaning of what you want Valentine's to be, it's kind of important too.
yeah,
Yeah.
the best person to love is yourself.
Self-worship.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you again.
Yeah. No, thank you.